Hello, you're welcome to the Sustainably Speaking series. I'm your host, Benedicta Sava. This show promises to engage, educate, and inform you of anything environmentally sustainable. I have with me the UGSRC Vice President, Mr. Jeffrey Eduyebua. Thank you so much for joining me. And also Ms. Asanto Abrove, the current JCR Secretary of Legon. Thank you so much for joining me as well. So our topic for today is, how does the political infrastructure of a country affect its environmental performance? Basically, we are asking, how does the political infrastructure of a country, from its government systems, legislations, policies, public participation, how does it affect how a country is able to perform better when it comes to environmental sustainability? So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Eduyebua. What is your take on that? What are the effects of a country's political infrastructure on its environmental performance?
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to be on your program to speak on such a crucial topic, because as it stands now, the whole country is actually very concerned about how our environment is being degraded to some extent, and how best they are looking up to the government of the day to resolve issues regarding it. So I'll say that in every country, we need a very good government structure in terms of their executive, legislature, and judiciary to make sure that whatever that has to do with their environment is being protected, because in every country, the performance of their environmental sustainability is in the hands of the government. It is not in the hands of individuals per se, because you as an individual may have the willingness to stop some things that you think are not going on well with regards to our environment, but then you may not have the authority or the power to stop it. So if a government has that authority to make sure that our environment is being well protected, it has to start from the executive or the executive arm of government, where the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the country with respect to Ghana, making sure that every single part of our environment is well protected. Before someone has access to our land, before someone has access to our water, before someone has access to anything environmental in the country, the government is very much aware of it. They are the ones who give accreditation to certain people to access some part of our land. So it is the role of the government, especially the executive arm of the government, to ensure that the people that they are appointing into ministerial positions, such as Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and Ministry of Sanitation, and all those ministries that take charge of our environmental bodies, are very competent enough. If we have a very competent executive appointing very competent ministers, we are very sure that our environments are in safe hands. Aside that, Parliament, who enacts laws, are supposed to make sure that they are going to make sure that every single law that is supposed to be enacted, or every single law that must be implemented to enforce environmental sustainability, is being brought to Parliament and passed, such that people will not just do anything they want with our resources and do away with it. And then the judiciary arm of government should also make sure that anybody or every single individual who is brought to the courts to face the full rigors of the law should be punished or should be given the necessary sanctions, such that our resources will be protected. So indeed, it is in the capability, or it is in the authority of the three arms of government in the country to make sure that our environments are being sustained as far as their powers and their authorities are concerned.
Yes, just to, as a backdrop to that, I would like to ask you, Asantua, what do you think in terms of policies and planning? Do you think there are enough policies to be able to make sure that this happens, that the interest of the people in terms of environmental sustainability is protected?
Yes, so thank you for the question. I believe that there are enough policies, there are good policies that are out there, but the problem here is that we do not have the right infrastructure to promote them. I'll use this example, Operation Clean Your Frontage by the Metropolitan Assembly, Accra Metropolitan Assembly. It was a good initiative, it is a good initiative, but we do not have enough people in the group to be able to properly make it effective. let's say, for example, we need people that are always going around with their bins to take the garbage and everything. But in that area, we have just about a few people, a handful of people who are willing to volunteer to do that. And then it takes people in their own homes, like individuals, as he said, to do it by themselves. And it's not effective because I cannot do all the work on my own. So there are enough policies out there, but I believe that the infrastructures and then the means to keep it running is not enough.
Okay, so I remember one of the complaints at the time, because I did a long essay on that as well, was about, even though there were people willing, they would collect the rubbish and put it there, and the bins will be there like for a month and has not been collected. What do you have to say about that? Is that, would we say it is as a result of a failure in implementing the policy or lack of proper planning, or where is the problem in that case?
Interestingly, the decentralization in Ghana's political system is not really working. That is what I will say, because the president of the day has appointed a minister to take charge of issues with sanitation. The minister has also assigned certain companies like Zoom Lion and other government associated companies to take charge of the environment and make sure that certain things like what you are talking about has been taken care of. But then the people that are supposed to ensure that these things will happen do not go on the grounds to go and watch. Just like you are saying, the minister, how many times does the minister go on grounds to go and actually see for himself or herself what is really going on there? So usually it's a matter of decentralization and then the right people being placed at the right places, because the CEO of Zoom Lion, who is in charge of making sure that our environment is clean, that may not actually have the luxury of time to go and watch for himself every day. But then the people that have been assigned to go on the grounds, do they really do it? And then sometimes it's not even about that. Sometimes too, it's about the implementation process. Maybe they need some resources to go and carry that dustbin you are talking about away from there. The trash tankers are not enough to go and take those things. How do they even go ahead to implement such a policy? So I think usually it's an issue of decentralization and then available resources to carry on those.
As he stated something about whether or not there are enough resources to be able to take care of that, my next question to you as Angela would be, in terms of budgetary allocation, do you know anything about that? How does that affect or improve our ability to speed up the process of keeping the environment clean, keeping it more people friendly and all that?
So I would answer that question, but I would hit on his tangent a bit. So I believe that for any policy to run, definitely there would have been some money allocated to like funding it. But I believe that most of the time the problem is that we look at the problem using the short-term scope, in the sense that we have a problem of waste management. The government wants to solve it. People are crying about it. They do not take the time to look into the next 10 years of it, the next 15 years of it. We are looking at the right now and here, what we can do about it. So let's say, for example, in this area, we are giving you about 10 bins. 10 bins is not enough for a constituency, but because it's a here and now situation, they end up giving out that number of bins to them, and then it does not exactly solve the problem. It shows you are doing something, but it does not solve the problem. So yes, monies and then resources are being allocated for these problems, but they are not enough to solve them.
Okay, I think that was a brilliant answer, but I would like to go a bit away from waste management to other aspects of environmental sustainability, like deforestation and air pollution. Do you think there are enough policies to be able to ensure that these are on the low and we have an environment where it is okay, there are enough trees for all of us and the air is not so polluted? Do you think there are enough policies protecting us as people?
The first thing I would like to state clearly is that among Ghana's top priorities, environmental sustainability is not one of the main ones. If we are looking at Ghana's top priorities, it is either we are looking at the economy, we are looking at education, we are looking at health. But indirectly, we forget that everything that we are going to succeed in as a country comes back to the environment. If your environment is not at the best place or is not in the best way, how do you get good water to drink, to have good health? You understand? How do you have good health to attend school and have the education that we are investing in? How do you get people to grow from the school to become good people to handle the economy? So that means that with everything that we do, it boils down to the environment of the country, but then we do not pay attention to it. So although there may be policies, we do not prioritize those policies in the nation's budget. We do not prioritize those policies in appointing certain people who are very skilled in the work. In terms of security, we have an appointee, the Inspector General of Police, IGP, ensuring that the Ghana Police Service is working. We have the OSP making sure that corruption is being reduced in the country. So it shows you the priorities of the country. But I don't think there is one main appointment or one main position where there is somebody very much in charge of sanitation or environmental protection, and then apart from the Ministry of Sanitation and then the Ministers of Natural Resources. If there could be that priority as a country, that look, in the next 4 years, we are looking up to making sure that in terms of deforestation, in terms of air pollution, the country is targeting that we have enough trees. We are making sure that our environment is very good and very clean and very sound for people to live in. Then I believe that we have some places to go. Although there may be policies, just as Asantua said, the implementation is a problem. See, Ghana, we are very good at sitting down, let's write something, let's type something. The theory part of it, we are very good at it. Let someone come and stand on television or radio to speak all the big English about how to keep the environment clean. And then when they are done, the grounds is still the same. So I believe that we should even be looking more at how best these government appointees can ensure the implementation of the already written down theories. If you have the little policies or the little theories that you put down to solve little issues and then you are not even implementing them, how much more the big ones? You get it? So it's not even an issue of policies, it's an issue of implementation of whether little or big a policy should be.
Okay, do you agree that it's an issue of implementation, or there are just not enough policies? If there are just not enough policies, what can Parliament do about that?
Okay, so I would side with him. It's not a matter of bringing more policies on board. It's a matter of starting to implement those that are there already. So I would then say that in respect to legislation, I believe that Parliament should be on, for lack of a better word, be on the necks of those who have been put in charge of these things, that they make us see the import of these policies that they've made. They make us see real life manifestation of these policies in our communities, and then we can give them leverage to go on to make more policies. But once these ones are not fulfilled, there's no other policy that would need to.
I don't know whether if any of you have heard about projects like the Greater Accra, short for Gamma SWA, the Greater Accra Metropolitan Assembly Solid Waste Management Program. So you've heard about it, yes. If you've also heard about it, but it is basically a project to help provide more toilet facilities for residential homes, and it has been faced with a lot of criticisms about not being able to meet the market demand, because there are a lot of, I think it was through the implementation of such projects that we get to realize that there are a lot of homes, there are a lot of places, areas that actually lack these facilities. What do you think donor agencies can do to support? Because if we are saying the government should step in with this, there are enough things that have not been fulfilled that the government may not be able to step in at this point for. But what can other donor agencies do to ensure that it is one, sustainable? It is sustainable in in the sense that if it's being implemented and the project, the lifeline of the project is like 15 years, it should not be then 5 years and it's not able to go on because of whatever issue it may be facing. But what can donor agencies do to ensure that these projects are sustainable and are able to meet market demands as partners in helping to make the whole environment safe and sustainable?
Okay, good. So No matter what donor agency wants to do, no matter the resources that they have to implement these policies or such a policy, they will still need the energy of the government of the day to be part of making sure that it happens. Because usually the donors do not just get up and then begin to build toilets. They come to meet the government, the regional minister. Okay, this is what we want to do in your regional. This is what we've heard you are doing. How best do we do it? Where should we start from? And all of that. And I think it all boils back to the matter of priority. If it is a priority of the government that this is what we are doing, we declare it's something that is a project. And I believe that with a project like that, any government that is willing to ensure that it happens should give it an ultimatum of 4 years. I'm saying 4 years because we usually, because of our current political system, it is very difficult that we find the next government coming to continue policies that have already started. So if it's really something that you want to do, the moment you emerge office, you set the target. Within 4 years, we should have built these number of toilets around Greater Accra, these number of waste management systems around Greater Accra. And in the moment you do that, these donors themselves will realize that, okay, so the government is actually serious about an initiative like this, and then they will come on board. The donors can now bring as much or as many resources as possible to ensure that these things happen. Mind you, sometimes it's not even an issue of not enough donors or not enough donations to ensure that these things are implemented. It is a matter of the passage through which these donations go through. You can be given $1 million to start a project like this, and then only 100,000 of it has been used to do the policies. So, as I said, it's a matter of priority, implementation, and ensuring that the right people are taking the right courses to ensure what we want to be done.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much. My question to you, Asantwa, is there are other countries like Rwanda, South Africa that are leading the pace, not only when it comes to environmental sustainability, but when it comes to economically, when it comes to creating jobs for people. And we are always able to like quickly cite these countries as being doing well, being able to do all these things. Why not Ghana? Why is it the case that when it comes to Ghana, citizens have to come out to protest that their water is being polluted before the government tries to take action? What is going on there? What is the problem?
Okay, so my first point would come from a place of personal reasoning. A place like Rwanda has a centralized government, right, where we do not have to worry about the next 4 years. I believe one of the reasons why Ghana is not investing much in projects that are long-term is because they would want the people to see what we've done now. In my campaign message, I want to tell you that I made this and this, and you can actually see it. But in my campaign message, when I'm telling you that, oh, I've started the foundation for probably a bigger block of library for kids that can use it probably in the next 10 years. But because we want to make it a big complex, it's taking time. You are just seeing foundations, you're not seeing the end product. So somebody may not vote for me. In a place like Rwanda, I would not use the word autocratic, but there's a one ruler state where the person is now focused on what I'm doing for my people. Okay, I can see that they need this. So the person can take his time to fully like finish a project and then move to the next, right? Where maybe if I'm working on my forestry, now I can buy seedlings, plants, and then in the next 2 years is now growing and all of that. And then my people have the patience because actually you cannot do anything about it. But that's the good thing because now there's stability. You can finish something. So in the next 10 years, you are seeing what he had started the last 10 years before. You understand? And then there are policies like producing materials that are environmentally friendly. So in Rwanda like this, they made most of the manufacturers change what they were creating. So you cannot make a single-use bottle anymore. You have to make like glasses where the person uses it today and can use it for like the next 3 months. You understand? So things like that would curb some disasters in the environment. And you look at a place like South Africa. South Africa, I would want to touch on our Galamsey issue. Now South Africa also like mines gold, right? But they have proper institutions that are taking care of the ins and outs of it. You cannot dig anywhere. You understand? You have to go through the whole process and everything. And they have people there that are always checking. Have you moved from your site? Are you still on your site? Are you done on your site? These are things that Ghana should be taking into consideration. And I would want to say this to our leaders. There's a new generation that actually values the insight of your policies. Once we realize that you have a long-term goal for the country, believe us, we would rally behind you. Don't be limited by the 4 years you have and just do like some shoddy work and then go. We want to see long-term agendas. We want to see long-term policies, things that are actually working, and we would vote for you. So I believe that we have to have stability in building up projects. Let's finish one thing at a time, and then we can move to the next thing. That's what's making these countries leaders.
Okay. Jeffrey, do you agree that it is our political system that is actually haunting us? Because if there is a case where we now have a one-party state, and or one person is in charge, and that person, their goal is not to actually put in place systems or to actually ensure that our water bodies are protected, our land is protected, our forests are protected, would it be the case that the political system would actually prevent these things from happening?
Well, I agree with her explanation to what the main point is, but I do not agree Ghana should, necessarily have a one-party state to be able to. I don't think that's what she meant.
No.
She was trying to let us understand that we need politicians or leaders who will come and then have a long-term goal. And then it is because of the 4 years they think that they cannot, finish these things in 4 years. They decide to do it anyhow and go. So I believe that we can maintain our political system, but then there should be measures to make sure that before these political leaders are voted into power, they are giving us that assurance that when they come, if it is a 10-year project, that 10-year project, I was thinking that, in fact, before Ghana can have a particular situation with regards to our land or resources and say that, okay, we want to establish this long-term project, that we are going to ensure that this particular menace is being kept. Any single government that comes after 4 years should make sure that you are making it happen. In Ghana, there is bureaucracy, and bureaucracy in governance is when there are no political interference or political appointees are not made to involve themselves in the main works that the people do. So when you go to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources like this, the minister is a political appointee, but the people that work there are not political appointees. They are people who are working there as civil servants and all of that. So if we have people like that there, those people are people being employed by the state and not by political parties. Mm-hmm. So those people should be the ones to encourage such conversations, to ensure that anybody that comes, you come and you tell that, Mr. Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, this is a long-term project that has already been established, and then this is where you are supposed to take us from, not to come and divert our vision. You get me? So we can maintain, or we should maintain, our political system, because we should say we are coming to change political system because of these issues. It will never happen. But then we should let our bureaucracy in the country work. The people that have been employed by the state should ensure that the state is ours. We say that Ghana, the country is ours. It's not for the politicians or it's not for the leaders. It is for us. They are also citizens. Mm-hmm. So when they come, we should have that plan. The bureaucracy of our country should work in the sense that we are setting up a long-term plan, involve the current party and the opposition party in such a plan. Let them understand that this is what we want to do. Let us come into that agreement that this is what the country wants to do in the next 10 years to curb the menace of Galamsey, to curb the menace of air pollution, land degradation, deforestation and all of that. And let's say that, okay, within these 10 years, we are supposed to make sure that the government is purchasing these resources to ensure that it is going to be done. We don't leave it in the hands of the politicians, give it to the bureaucratic people who are accountable to the states directly. Because if someone is in power right now and then in the next 4 years he knows that he can run away from the country and then you cannot hold him accountable, that person is very easy to do things anyhow. But if it is somebody who is the director of natural resources in the country and then that person is being taxed by the country to ensure that what work we are doing is supposed to be done, that person cannot mess up the way a political appointee may do, because he knows that their job is on the line and then they can be even imprisoned and you cannot run away the way appointees can do. So I think it's a matter of taking it into the hands of the bureaucracy of the states, the people who have been employed by the states, to make sure that these works are happening, so that no matter who becomes president, no matter who becomes the minister, this is the goal that we are looking at, and then they must come and follow it, and then we are good to go as a country.
I think that's a lovely feedback. I would want you to chip in if you would have something to say, but on the base of the question, that do you think that's how we can hold governments accountable to ensure that there is less environmental degradation?
Yes, I believe that power in the simplest form is the ability to do. Now, the people that are put in those offices have the ability to make this happen. So once you are put there, make sure that your voice is counting for something, make sure that you are speaking out, and make sure that you are making sure that the person that has been appointed is accountable for whatever he's doing. Keep the paperwork. Make sure that the person appears before the right board. And I believe that would move forward from there.
Okay, that's I think that's lovely. In terms of, when I ask about accountability, I would want to tackle corruption, but I don't know whether I should go there. What what role does corruption play in hindering our aspiration, if I should say, to attain a very sustainable front?
So I would like to say this. The main reason why we've not attained the status we want to go is politics, and then aside politics, corruption. And politics comes after corruption because Ghana has politicized our sustainability too much. Our environmental protection is being politicized currently. The truth of the matter is that the current government is very willing to ensure that the Galamsey menace is being kept. But then whilst the government is ensuring that that will happen, the opposition party will be going around telling people in the in the constituencies where these things are being stopped that, see, this government is stopping you from doing the Galamsey when they are not even giving you job to do. Now this one that we are using to find something to eat, they are stopping you. Relax, go and vote for us. After 7 December, after 7 January, come and start doing your work. You can imagine what harm this is causing us. So it makes the government think twice, because 4 years ago, the government of the day lost a lot of constituencies, a lot of votes, because of ensuring this will happen. In the sense that our politics is breeding a lot of corruption. People are not being held accountable because of the political interest behind it. Now the party in opposition is going around saying that when they come into power, they are going to hold all the government people in power who were not accountable to us. They are going to hold them accountable. But when they come, they will just arrest 1 or 2 people, and then their people will continue from where the previous administration ended. So this is where we are as a country. The issue of corruption is one of them, because if all the policies that have been outlined to ensure that our environment is sustained have been allocated resources, and still we can go on those grounds and then we don't see them, then it's a very big issue. It causes a lot of land degradation to some extent. Now you see a government projecting that I have done these number of routes in this constituency, I've done this number of routes in these regions on book, on paper. When you go there, those things are not done. They've allocated
of the road that has been done.
You get the quality of the road that has been done. They've allocated a lot of resources to it. And now another government comes, and that government has to send another fund to go and work on it. Now, when another budget has been allocated to the same thing, the government that has now gone into opposition will come and say that you are borrowing too much money because it's a whole big issue. I'll leave the rest as
So, do you have something to say about the corruption aspect, or should I ask you about another aspect? Because when in his delivery, I noticed two things that could be the problem. Aside the corruption, we have economic dependency on these resources. So, how does the economic dependency on these resources affect our ability to actually fight against environmental degradation in Ghana?
Yeah. So I believe that for us to be able to move from this point, we would have to look into other sectors. Now, if we are going to solely depend on our gold and our timber and all of that, at the end of the day, we'll be sleeping on a desert too. So, like, our leaders have to like reason more. What are other things that we can do? We are looking at countries like Dubai. They didn't even have water. I was surprised last time when I was reading their story. They didn't have anything. But because of good leadership, they are able to bring new ideas on board. There's a new generation of young people. In fact, I must say this, I believe in the generation that we have because we have more knowledge, like there's technology and everything. Let's utilize the minds that are growing now. Let's do that. Is it investing more in agriculture? Let's do that. Let's leave these natural resources and all of these things to rest so that we can invest in other opportunities. And I believe that when we do that, Ghana can move forward from where we are now.
I'm going to throw the same question to you, Jeffrey. Do you think we can attain economic growth without compromising our ability to fight environmental degradation?
So, I'll say that in political science, there is this topic under development of a state, and then under it says some countries have gotten into a state of the Anthropocene. What that means is that after you have degraded the land or the environment so much to build factories, building stable businesses and all of that, uses the things that the resources the environment is giving them, but then they do not put in mind, or they do not remember the extent to which these things will cost them. So the more you want to develop, that's what it says, the more you develop, the more you face pollution, the more you think that okay, we should build more institutions, more factories. I mean, you see the kind of air pollution that a lot of factories cause the states, greenhouse effect and all of that. The Galamsey issue, it is actually a state of improving economy or improving the lives of people. That is why people have actually decided to do that. People want to live well. People want economic stability. That is why they think that degrading the environment will help them, because you are degrading the environment, you are getting more resources. That is fine to say that you want to, have economic stability, but then you forget that the land that you are spoiling will not be there tomorrow for you to come and stay there, for you to build schools on it, for you to have a lot of things. Now, even when you want to build schools, you have to cut down trees. Do we build back, do we plant back those trees? You get it? Actually, it is not because of the extent to which our land is being degraded that we have to stop mining as a state, because the resources that gold, or what gold does for the country, is very big, and we cannot stop it as a matter of fact. But then how do we do it to ensure that it is not causing more harm to our people, it is not causing more harm to the land and all of that? So there should be a good discussion or a good conversation by government and the people in charge. She cited one thing that I was very happy about. If you are giving the land to somebody to work on or to mine on, that ultimatum that the person should work on that land should be given. Yes, I saw a video on the media when I think soldiers or police went on grounds to stop people from practicing Galamsey, and then they gave the person, I think, a huge amount of money. If the police has not come there to stop you, the police will not get that amount of money. So the police can sit in his office and be like, hey, and share me home, I'm in Galamsey grounds, Menya BB. You get it? Yes. The moment he gets there, they are running, hey, come for this amount of money. The police has to shut up and get back home. So the people that are being charged to even ensure that even in as much as we are taking from the resources we are supposed to bring them back, are also being compromised. So it's a whole issue of the leadership as well. As she said, the leadership matters a lot, because if a country like Dubai has been able to get to this extent, then a country like Ghana can also sit down with our leadership and ensure that we are on the right path.
It seems more nuanced than as we look at it on the surface level. I think until we get into discussions like this, we don't realize that it is not one aspect, because if you want to shut this down, it's going to affect this, and it's going to bring a whole lot of problems. So we have to take a step back and actually take a more not so dramatic but critical look at it, such that every aspect is being attended to or catered for, not that you look at they are just showing light on this aspect. I think I agree with you to this extent that on this front, the complexity of the problem demands that we are actually going to take a more complicated approach to address these problems. I really enjoyed our discussion. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation and your insights on this topic. I would like to conclude by saying that the greatest threat to our planet is the thought that someone else will save it. Robert Swan, thank you very much for joining me on this episode.